Hey, deep divers. Welcome to another deep dive with us. Today we're looking at HIP 140 Adjust Service Provider Boost Qualifiers. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's a hot topic. It's been causing quite a stir in the Helium Network. So we've got a great expert here with us to help us break it all down.
Absolutely. I'm excited to dive into this.
So let's start off, for our listeners who might not be, completely up to speed on this. Can you just give us a quick rundown of what the Helium Network is all about and why this HIP is so important?
Sure. So the Helium Network, it's aiming to create this decentralized wireless network. And they're using blockchain technology to do that. And a big part of that is these hotspots. They provide coverage and enable data offload, especially in those boosted hexes where the service providers are offering these extra rewards.
Right, and that's where this whole HIP 140 comes in, right?
Exactly. There's been a bit of an issue brewing. Some hotspots might not be playing entirely fair.
Hotspot gaming.
Yeah.
Hotspot gaming. I've heard that term thrown around.
It's become a real problem. Imagine you've got a hotspot in a boosted hex, and it's getting rewarded for potential data offload. But it's rarely, if ever, actually selected to do the job.
Oh, so it's like...
It's like having a star player on a team who's constantly benched but still gets paid the big bucks.
Right. That's not good for team morale.
Not at all. And that's where HIP 140 comes in.
Okay. So tell us, how does HIP 140 aim to tackle this problem?
Well, instead of relying on call detail records, those CDRs, which just show a hotspot's potential to offload data, this proposal shifts the focus to actual consistent data offload activity.
Oh, so it's not just about being there.
Right.
It's about actually doing the work.
Exactly.
Okay.
So under HIP 140, a hotspot in a boosted hex, it would need to maintain at least 25 unique offload connections over a rolling 7-day period to qualify for those extra rewards.
Wow, 25.
Yeah, it's a significant number.
That is quite a bit.
But the idea is to make sure that those hotspots getting the big rewards are the ones truly carrying the team.
Okay, so no more bench warmers.
No more bench warmers.
Got it. So I imagine this is causing, quite a bit of discussion, among hotspot owners.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've got some hotspot owners, especially those who've been actively contributing to data offload. They see this as a positive step towards a fairer and more efficient system.
But they're the ones who are already doing the work.
Exactly. They feel like it will level the playing field.
And reward those who are actually, genuinely contributing to the network.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. But what about those hotspots that, for whatever reason, maybe they're in a less populated area, they're not hitting those 25 unique connections consistently?
Right. There's definitely concern among some hotspot owners who, for various reasons, might not consistently maintain that level of activity. They worry about seeing a decrease in their rewards, particularly those in areas where offload opportunities are just less frequent.
So it's a bit of a trade-off then.
It is.
It's like, increased fairness and efficiency for the network, but potentially, some individual hotspots might see reduced rewards.
Exactly. And that's where the conversation gets really interesting.
Yeah.
It raises those questions about how to balance individual incentives with the overall health and sustainability of the network.
Right. It's that classic dilemma, isn't it? It's
Sure.
like, how do you create a system that's both fair to individuals, but also benefits the collective?
It's a tough one.
Yeah. But it sounds like HIP 140 is at least trying to, strike that balance.
It is. It's definitely an attempt to find that sweet spot.
So what are some of the specifics? Like, how does HIP 140 actually work to address this hotspot gaming issue?
Well, one interesting aspect is this rolling 7-day window for tracking unique offload connections.
Oh, so it's not just about like one day of activity.
Right. It has to be consistent over time.
Okay.
So a hotspot can't just rely on, a burst of activity on one day to qualify for those boosted rewards.
So it's like a fitness tracker for hotspots.
Yeah. It encourages them to stay active and earn those rewards.
I like that. Keep those hotspots active.
Keep them working.
Yeah. So this helps to prevent, those short bursts of activity. That might have been a loophole in the past.
Exactly. It's about rewarding consistent performance.
Right.
Not just sporadic bursts.
Got it. So it sounds like we're talking about a potential paradigm shift here.
We are.
In how the Helium Network incentivizes and rewards participation. This is big.
It's a big change.
But like with any big change, I imagine there are questions.
Definitely.
Concerns.
Right. Absolutely.
And we'll dive into all of that in the next part of our deep dive. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
This whole idea of shifting from, potential to actual data offload It really gets to the heart of what makes a decentralized network like Helium so interesting.
It does. It really does.
It's all about finding these new ways to encourage people to participate and make sure that the network as a whole benefits.
Yeah, it's like the network is evolving.
It is.
Adapting
from the past.
learning from its mistakes.
Exactly.
And trying to, create something better for the future.
That's a great way to put it.
So HIPP 140. It also touches on some other interesting points
It does.
that I think are worth exploring a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
For example, there's this whole thing about the 3-device requirement.
Oh, yeah. From HIP 84.
Right.
You used to need to have 3 unique devices connected to a hotspot to be eligible for those boosted rewards.
Yeah, I remember that.
But with this new focus on actual offload activity, that requirement seems a bit outdated.
It does. It's like they're cleaning up the rule book.
Yeah.
Getting rid of all the unnecessary stuff.
Streamlining.
Yeah. And focusing on what really matters.
Exactly.
Which is the actual data offload.
The real work.
The real work.
Yeah.
So, and then there's also the whole thing about CBRS radios.
Oh, right, CBRS radios.
Yeah.
So because of HIP 139, those are being phased out.
Okay.
And they won't be eligible for boosted rewards under this new system.
Right. So it's like they're really trying to tidy things up.
Yeah.
And create this, clear path forward.
Absolutely.
For the network.
A clean slate.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked a lot about hotspot owners.
Right.
But what about the service providers?
The service providers.
The ones who are actually, paying for all of this.
Yeah, they're a crucial part of this whole equation.
Right.
So for them, HIP 140 could really change how they incentivize data offload.
How so?
Well, if this proposal actually works and it stops all this hotspot gaming, they could see their investment become way more efficient.
Okay.
Instead of, rewarding hotspots that are just sitting around,
right.
They'd be directly supporting the ones that are actually doing the work. Offloading data, expanding network coverage.
So it's like a win-win for them.
It could be.
They get more value for their money.
Well, more bang for their buck.
And they're also contributing to a better network for their customers.
Right.
Yeah.
And that improved network performance. It could attract even more users and really help the Helium network grow.
Right. It's like this positive feedback loop.
It is.
That benefits everyone.
Exactly.
Now, what about the end users?
Oh, the people actually using the Helium network.
Yeah, the ones connecting to the internet.
They might see the biggest impact from all of this.
Really?
Think about it. If HIP 140 gets more hotspots actively offloading data, it means better coverage, especially in those boosted hexes that are strategically placed to support the cellular networks.
So someone's in an area with bad cell service.
Right.
But thanks to these active hotspots,
their connection stays strong.
That's amazing.
It could be a game changer.
Yeah, especially for people in areas with limited infrastructure.
Exactly.
It's like building a bridge.
It is.
To connect communities.
Connecting people.
Giving them access to the digital world.
Absolutely.
Okay, but implementing a change like this, it's got to be tough.
It's not easy.
What kind of challenges do you think Nova's going to face?
Well, one of the biggest ones is making sure that the transition goes smoothly.
Right.
You don't want to disrupt the network while you're trying to improve it.
Right. It's like performing open heart surgery while someone's running a marathon.
That's a pretty intense analogy.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's a delicate operation.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of precision.
Yeah.
A lot of expertise.
And communication.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to keep those hotspot owners informed.
Transparency is key.
Yeah.
Nova needs to clearly explain why they're doing this, how it benefits everyone, and what they're doing for the people who might be negatively affected.
Right. It's all about maintaining that trust and collaboration.
It is.
Within the Helium community.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about the benefits, we've talked about the challenges.
Right.
But there's another really interesting aspect to HIP 140.
What's that?
It could be a model for other decentralized networks.
That's what I find so fascinating about this.
Yeah.
It's not just about fixing a problem in the Helium network. It's about finding new ways to make decentralized systems work better.
Like a blueprint for the future.
Yeah.
So in the final part of our deep dive,
we're going to explore those broader implications.
And discuss what HIP 140 could mean for the future of decentralized networks.
It's going to be exciting.
Okay, so we've talked about how HIP 140 could change the Helium network.
Right.
But let's zoom out a little, look at the bigger picture. Yeah. What about the impact on decentralized networks in general?
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
HIP 140, it's not just, a quick fix for one problem. It's a whole new way of thinking about how we encourage participation in these decentralized systems.
I see.
It's about making sure that the rewards are tied to actual value, real contributions.
So it's like a blueprint
Exactly.
for other networks that are facing similar issues.
It could be.
It's about, making sure that people are rewarded for actually doing the work,
Right.
not just for, existing.
Exactly.
So imagine a world where, these decentralized networks, they're not being gamed anymore.
It's a powerful vision.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a vision of a future where technology is truly decentralized.
And everyone benefits.
Yeah. It's a more equitable future.
More sustainable, too.
Absolutely.
And HIP 140, it could be a big step towards making that vision a reality.
By showing that it's possible
Yeah.
to reward real contributions. And that could inspire other networks.
To adopt similar approaches.
Exactly.
We could start a movement.
A ripple effect.
Changing the whole landscape of decentralized technology.
That's incredible. But, of course, we have to be realistic. The success of HIP 140 is not guaranteed.
Right. There's still challenges.
Implementing something like this is complex.
It takes careful planning.
But the potential is huge.
The impact could be enormous.
A bold experiment.
It is.
And it shows how innovative the helium community is. They're not afraid to push the boundaries.
They're constantly exploring new possibilities.
It's an exciting time to be following this.
It really is.
The world of decentralized technology is evolving so rapidly.
It's amazing to watch.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into HIP 140, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we're all part of something much bigger. We're shaping the future of technology.
Yeah.
And creating a more connected world.
Absolutely.
And that's something worth getting excited about.
It is.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
And remember, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives, and let us know in the comments what other topics you'd like us to explore.
We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.